All right, welcome to the podcast, Will. Super excited to have you today. Today, guys, we are here with Will Bones. He's been an expert in the field of social media content and videography and photography. He's been able to get over 27 million organic views. He's been working with clients like from the Big 12. He's been able to have some work done and posted in New York Times Square. He's got his work everywhere. People have seen his work. People have worked with him all over the place, and I'm super excited to be able to have this conversation with you. Dive into the nitty gritty obsession that both of us that we can relate when it comes to the obsession with social media and being able to help our clients show up on social media better, show up more as a human. And just excited to dive into how you do what you do, because I love excellence speaks volumes, and I've been able to watch your work for some time now. That's how we connected, was I just watched your work from afar and was able to be like, this guy is excellent at what he does. And so super excited to chat with you today, Will, and feel free to hop on and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in this whole content space.
For sure. Yeah, thanks, Grace, for the kind words. It means a lot. Yeah, I hope that, listeners can truly like learn a lot. Like I'm hoping that there can be a lot of value shared, especially with, two minds I think that are so alike, like yours and mine are. So excited about that. But yeah, just a little bit about my background too, I guess. Kind of growing up, like high school, college, was into the kind of shooting. I was a street photographer first. Also did some portrait photography, so like super creative. Really struggled in high school as well. I think those things go hand in hand sometimes. And so really struggled to get by in my classes, but like just loved, I grew up in a really big city. So was a street photographer, was, kind of out and about every weekend working with people. Started to work with brands kind of along that path too, but honestly, I just didn't really know just how to communicate, and how to market myself. Because, literally like it's physiological, like your creative side of your brain and your analytical side of your brain are just not the same parts of your brain. And so from a development standpoint, I just didn't know. And so kind of evolves, throughout high school, college. When COVID hit, I pivoted my career completely. I went into sports. So sports, photo, video, and design. And so kind of had a was just kind of jumping around a little bit in the sports industry for just a handful of years, but was able to just work with some just crazy names and brands that just known around the world. And kind of like what you said, Big 12, and then I mean, there's just brands like the NFL, like been working with like WWE, like Times Square, like just some great. I was on celebrities, like I worked with a ton of celebrities as well. So awesome, illustrious career, and then I took a leap of faith and stepped away from it all to pursue my own thing, to kind of totally full circle moment. And yeah, recently and now just started a business and just am working just for myself now. And my main kind of market and work is not in the sports space anymore, although I do have some clients that are sports adjacent, but it's mainly just the small and medium business owners that just don't know what to post on social media. They don't know how to post on social media. They just, it's not their job. Like it's, their job is to run their business day to day. And so that's kind of where I come in and provide a lot of solutions to that in kind of short form video and some photography as well. So that's a little bit about me.
That's crazy. That's a really cool journey. I think 2020 was a huge pivotal year for most people that I know. I know for me, that's when my career was just like, okay, I'm gonna dive into this entrepreneurship path and figure out this brand and social media stuff. So the fact that you've been doing that for brands at such the at a high level, the way that you have been going about doing it is really cool. And tell us a little bit like how you even got those deals or like those brand partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of that is through work with the Big 12 because the Big 12 just has this massive network just around the country. But like the biggest thing for me was just to be really eager, just constantly. Like that's how I even got my job with the Big 12 too. I literally was like, I messaged I messaged someone that was at the Big 12 at the time when I wasn't in the Big 12. And I was literally like, hey, like, love what you do. Like, this is kind of what I want to do with my life. And I just want to know if you could like just let's hop on a phone call, like, or maybe go to a coffee shop. I'll buy you coffee, whatever. Like, I'll pay for your time in a like whatever. I just want to talk for 20 minutes. I actually have a list of 5 questions I want to ask you, and I'll give you those questions ahead of time. I just want to just have a conversation because I'm interested in this kind of as a career path. Like that was essentially my script. And I just sent this to this person who was working at the Big 12, and he like got back right away. He was like, "Oh, that's so nice. Like, let's do that." And then like kind of like some time goes by, some time goes by, and then he messaged me. I think it was like literally on like a Friday. He was like, "Oh, I'm actually hiring, and you might be a really good fit for this. Like, let's just like
No
talk
way.
about that." We hopped on the phone like the next day, and then hopped on another call with his boss the day after. Then I was offered the job like the next day. So it was like 4 days of just like, obviously, I'm sure he like looked at my work and qualified me and my talent, but like that's a trait that you like cannot like teach, like the way talent can, like the way talent can produce and grow, like just the eagerness and the willingness and like just showing. And that's marketing, is like showing that you're like actively interested in wanting to go somewhere. A lot of people like that was just really attractive to him, and he became my boss, and then he was my boss. And so yeah, and that's not a one-off example either. I mean, that's I think that's been a pattern of just my entire life of just always being curious. Like that's it just been so extremely crucial just for my development.
That's really cool, and I take it from all of your extensive work in, like, the street photography, and had you been doing shoots for free or just, like, commission here and there prior to that just to build a portfolio? I know that some people on here, either whether it's social media or videographers or photographers, like, the whole concept of building a portfolio is like, "Dang, how do I even get the initial stuff into it?" So how'd you start going about doing that?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, just with street, it was different because like a lot of my paid work when I was in freelance at a young age was it was either portraiture through models, like through agencies that way, which kind of developed over street, and then kind of making friends, and that lasted a few years. But with brands specifically, like it's literally just like using what you have. Like I've got a sweatshirt in my closet, let me take it out and let me have my brother wear it, and
Yep.
that's how it starts. I will tell an example of a client I have right now. uh, just that relationship kind of started in a wild way too. I essentially, I'll leave the industry out of it, but
Yep.
I essentially just went out and got a product and shot the product for free. I went to Target, I just bought it, and I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna shoot it. And shot it really well, like as if they were a client. Like I was like, I'm gonna shoot this product really well. And so I basically did that to the best of my ability, took those pictures. I sent it to that company, but they just didn't respond. They actually like liked my message, and then that was it. I was like, whatever. But I took those photos and I sent them to all that company's competition. So I literally was like, here's what I did for this company. And that wasn't entirely true. Like it was not
It's
commissioned with
so
that
funny.
company. But I was like, I made this is my work. Like that's true. And I was like, this is what
Like,
I can do.
work.
Literally in one day, I think I hit up probably 10 or 15 of that company's like rivals, as the direct competitors of that company. And I got a lot of responses of like, oh, like that's, and then it was like there was synergy. And I think the actual like there was one company that was like, oh, can we send you free product? Then that turned into a paid client, which is
That's cool.
crazy. And that's so it's free work that way essentially. And
Right.
then so it was one out. I don't know what the exact numbers. It's probably 1 of 10 or 1 of 15. But like of the 10 to 15, I mean, there were probably 3 to 4 that used my stuff on their pages, and that's even more proof. Because then I went to their pages when they used my stuff. Again, I'm not charging them, but I went to the pages they used my stuff and took a screenshot, and now I have that in my little library. I can send them more.
That's genius. It's like, I think I haven't landed any brand partnership with, Nespresso yet, but I keep doing photos and videos of Nespresso because I wanna work with them, and I'm like, "I drink your freaking coffee every single day." Send me this, like, in-depth
Yeah,
video, and I was like but it's literally starts from an idea and then pitching brands,
yeah.
so that's really cool.
I think a lot of creatives are in the space of like that they have this idea that like brands are going to come to them for some reason. Like if they, they have a good online presence, they have a good portfolio, they have a good website, then they kind of like wait for the inbox to fill up. That's where I was for so long. I
You're
mean, I
like,
was
"Where
there
are
for
they
years
at?"
and years and years. Exactly. Yeah. And it's just there's so much like people don't hire like brands, for instance, like they don't hire someone because they're the best at something. They hire someone because they know them the most. Like, and so from an online presence kind of standpoint, it's like if I like just straight up stalk a brand, I'm always liking their posts. The post notifications are on. I'm commenting on every post. That they're gonna know me more than like so then when they have a campaign coming up or a shoot or something, they're not going to just search and look for someone that they don't know. They're going to be like, oh, this guy's always on our stuff. And so that's a little like that's just a little practice that I do all the time because that is like truly the catalyst for working with brands. It's like just being like freakishly obsessed, like all up in a brand because that's how they're gonna like you just have to put yourself in the perspective of like, okay, like if they want to work with someone like me, like how do they do that? Like they are not going to, I guarantee they're not going to just go to like find your website that way. Like they're just that's just not it's too much work for them. If that makes
It's not
sense.
how the inside out works anymore. It's coming from somebody who's worked inside of a brand where we were looking for influencers to help market our product. We would hit up the people that would respond to our comments and be in the
Sure.
DMs and like our stuff. Like that was the easiest way to go find those creators. And then if those creators were very specific niche to exactly what we were doing, it's like, duh, it's a no brainer. And then you ask them, they're like, yes, like
And it seems cringy too. Like there's a part of that that's like you just have to overcome that, I think, like as a marketer, as a creative, like the fact that you're always on these posts, but also like I put these people on my story too, like these brands I want to work with on my story. And it's like for years that was like a hurdle that I had to kind of overcome of like the fear of maybe not necessarily what other people think more so, but like just the fear of like looking cringy, and it's like you just have to throw that away. Like you cannot, like it's cringy until it's not. Like once it's going to be cringy for everyone, and then there's going to be a point where you're working with all these people and then everyone's going to think the same thing you're doing is like super cool all of a sudden. It's like you just have to forget, like just tunnel vision what you want to do, and like do you want it bad enough that you're going to do the cringy stuff to get there?
it's so interesting that that's, like it's considered cringy when it's more or less just considered like, in my head, I'm like, it's just an obsession, and it's like a
Yeah,
healthy
exactly.
obsession with, like, wanting to be great at something. It's like, let me figure this out in a way that benefits it's like, as a creative, it's like, I can benefit this brand. I know that I can help them do what they're doing, and I want to help them, so it's like, comes from a posture of, like, service, but also, like, at the end, it's like, that's gonna be a great partnership and a great deal to work with.
Yeah,
Um, so
exactly.
who cares if it's cringy?
Yeah, at the end of the day, like the people that want to work with brands are going to work with brands. Like that's there's no, I've yet to find someone kind of in my network, in my circles, among my friends that want to like are creative and want to work with brands and haven't yet because of something that's out of their control. Like people that want to do it are going to do it. Like that's just how it's going to be.
Facts. Sweet. Well, that's a little bit of, like, the brand partnerships. Tell us a little bit more about your experience with, like, the Big 12. What
Sure.
was, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
your highlight moments of shooting and capturing those moments?
Yeah, I think that organization was honestly like the top rung of the ladder for the sports world. Like it's just like the coolest, most fun, just environment ever. And so it's just like wild. I mean, the partnerships are all national partnerships, and it's the events are all national events. It was my first time with the Big 12 is my first time going to a city for work and other people going to the city for the same event. And like me, like we're the reason that like people are gathering in the city. So like it's like that for like, the basketball postseason, in Kansas City for the turn. Like fans are showing up and like we're the reason that they're like there, which is like the craziest thing ever. Like that's just it's just wild. So it's just full of I don't know, like every project that I was on, like everything I was doing, everything was full of glamour. Like it was an awesome, just unreal, surreal experience through and through. And like working with celebrities too. Like I was, on our creative team, that was at the Big 12. I was kind of the one that was like on the celebrities, which was super cool. And that was just how it worked out. But I was doing a lot of just iPhone content, and then I would also have a camera too for just kind of some quick turn photos and stuff. But that's a whole experience as well. I was able to meet some just crazy people. And like the biggest thing there was just like I think just composure.
Yeah.
And then it was yeah, it was what yeah, I've got some crazy stories with some of these like just like I with Shaquille O'Neal on multiple occasions.
Mhm.
Nelly actually took my jacket. I gave it to him, but
Took
just
it and
some
kept
you know what?
You took it and kept it? You just like,
Yeah, he kept it. Yeah, he wanted it, and he wanted it, so I literally just gave
"Here's my
it.
jacket."
Um, anyways, but yes. So a lot of cool people, and a lot of really cool experiences. Definitely different than just the whole brand world, but also in a lot of ways, I think sports taught me a lot about the brand world too, that I kind of took back into my clients because with all these things that were going around, like every big creative campaign, at an organization just of that just huge stature, every creative campaign is backed by a marketing campaign. And so I was learning a lot just about like just client communication and like how that works, like from, oh, maybe we might be a good fit to work together to, okay, let's hop on some more calls. Okay, let's actually work together. Like I was just learning a lot about like, proposals and what that means and how like integrations work and how you can think outside the box and be creative within something that's very analytical. Anyways, all this to say, like kind of when I left, the sports world to kind of pursue just the business side of it again, was able to just take a lot just with me for just all this like communication and just all this how this worked.
I'm curious, what was one of your favorite like, working with such high level individuals and, like, celebrities, like, what's a skill set that you had to get good at being able to be in their presence? Because I know some people can freak out, some people, like,
Sure.
they are weird. It's like, how do you navigate that level of,
Yeah.
professionalism?
Yeah, it's composure, I think. I was never nervous around anyone. I think just because of just composure, and also just being invisible, like, as much as possible. Like, make it very obvious that, like, you're there. Like, I made it very obvious that I was there on behalf of the Big 12, like, I wasn't someone that was, like, a crazy fan or, like, someone that, and then also, like, just a professional nature that I make it obvious, like for an example, like I had my phone, I had my camera. I would shoot them, in some instances, but then other instances, I would totally tuck it away and like have it under my arms as a measure of like just kind of almost like communicating with body language that like I'm here to do a job, you're here to do a job, like we're in just that kind of composure aspect of it. And it's been, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, that's like a really, like, it's subtle, but it's like, I'm just doing my job, like,
Just body language, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, and it's led to some cool, like, I had some cool just the ability to just talk to them like they're normal people was been super cool just over the years, especially at just massive stages and things like that. But yeah, it's just like just understanding that they're normal people too. And honestly, like a big thing that I kind of saw around some of the bigger celebrities I worked with was that like nobody is really like treating them like they're normal people. Like everyone's treating them like they're like big celebrities, and because of that, they don't say anything. Like they're just kind of quiet around them. Like they're kind of so like celebrity, for instance, like Deion Sanders is like a huge example of this. Like he'll walk in a room and he'll have his people too, but like also like a lot of people will just like not say anything, not make eye contact, just out of like they think it's like a respect or a distance thing or something, which is true. Like there's definitely good intentions behind that, but then also like one of my old coworkers was treating him like a person, like was talking to him, like asked him like how his day was, something like that, and he like it was just obvious like through body language that that was just not normal for like someone of that stature. So that's another thing too. Is just to just completely remove all aspects of stardom from that and just like focus like, okay, this is what I'm here to do. This is my goal. This is my job. I'm going to do it. And they're also here to just do what they do, So
it is cool, it's like being in a both of you guys are performing, they're performing in a totally different way,
for
you're in
sure.
performance mode, I think it's a really cool dynamic that I've just always, like, looked at that situation from a photographer or videographer's perspective, being like, you actually do have the access, like, the camera is the access into those conversations, but you have to, like, know your role in those scenarios. So that's really cool. Sweet. How I guess transitioning more to now kind of like what it is that you get to do now with your clients. Tell us a little bit about I know you talked to me a little bit before about helping people humanize themselves in front of the camera. I know one of the biggest things is people have these great big personalities and expertise and all of this stuff, and then they get in front of a camera and they just flat.
Yeah,
How do you
exactly.
go about helping your clients,
Yeah.
show up online, show up in a way that brings them to life in their
Yeah.
content?
Yeah, I think that there's two big things there. So I'll kind of just explain just the philosophy of just like what I do with small medium sized business owners, and that's really two things there. So as you said, I humanize, people via social media. And then also number two is make them expert educators. So I'll kind of dive into what each of those mean. But to humanize someone is it's literally just that. It's like I think people think they need to kind of puff up their chest and speak in a different tone when they're talking to social media. Like they're like, hey, it's like so just to even as someone who's like to let the guards fall, which is a lot of, it's not as easy as like just picking up the camera. Like you have to direct someone into to doing, that and making them more comfortable in front of the camera, things like that. But it's to humanize someone. It's just that. It's like it's to make them, it's like the people watching online that are scrolling. It's to make them, like someone, and you do that just via like aspects of personality, and there's a ton of examples I can go into for that. But before I do that, though, it's humanizing them, and then it's making them expert educators in their field. And so that number two there is like, if you're a professional, like if you're a carpenter, for instance, and I'm doing social media, small medium business owner, I'm doing kind of the package for you. So per month on social media, you are like you're just talking, like it's something simple, like you're just driving to a work site and you're just talking, and like that's something that people like hang on to, like something that someone you can resonate with, and then you begin to like someone that way. And then to make them expert educators, let's say at the job site you're actually explaining, oh, like if you have this type of whatever and this type of whatever, this is actually the difference here, and this is the one that like we do better, whatever. Like you're going into your craft, you're where you are professional, like you are making it known that you are professional. And so we found that making someone an expert educator in their field makes people trust them. And if someone likes you and trusts you, then they're going to buy from you. And so that's how you kind of get, loyalty online. That's how you get an audience. That's how you get a following. And more importantly, that's how you get leads, which turn into sales. So that's number one there to kind of answer your question. And then number two, how it relates to marketing specifically in all of my kind of client acquisition phases, my processes, when I'm, from either it's a first touch point of just getting to know someone and maybe we can work together to like, okay, here's the actual proposal. Here's what we're talking about. Let's work together. Wherever we're at on that process, one thing that I like to communicate is just something called value stacking. It's like just communicating like, oh, like this is what I do. Like, yes, this is the face value of what I do, but like also, like I help you become comfortable in front of the camera. Or also, I plan everything out. So if we're doing a shoot, I'm going to give you mood boards. I'm going to give you a creative brief that you can just check off on. I'm going to give you this pre production plan. So all you have to do is look at this document, check up on it, and then we're good to go. We have a green light, and then we'll just go into shooting mode. And or I can do location scouts or talent scouts. Like and your value stacking, you're including things that you're already doing, but you're communicating those because that is more valuable to someone. Like, especially in just the overall conversation of just like pricing, like that's just the kind of a buzzword. But like someone will pay more for that communicated that way than they will for, oh, I'm going to give you this many photos, this many videos. That's the end of it.
Very true. It's like telling the deliverables versus what I actually do for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then the results too, it's like, that comes with the results of like, oh, like this is, either what we found with other clients or like this is kind of predicted based on this research I've done. Like this is going to, help you with whatever their goal is in their business. So whether that's, selling more, carpets or whatever carpentry, whatever
Yeah.
carpenters do, or remodeling more of this or more inquiries or more, calls with prospects or whatever their goal is, like you just got to speak their language, like because they're not going to just take the time to try to understand yours. So you just kind of have to translate and be like, okay, this is exactly what's happening end to end on this end, the pre-production, the production, the post-production, the analytics. But like if you just package all of that up, that's worth a lot more to someone because they know more so where their money is going, which is back to them, which is return on investment. Like they're not buying what you have to offer. They're more so they're buying return. They're buying more money back. They're like, oh, if I spend this much, I'll get this much back. And that's how you need to kind of have their mindset be. And that's
It's a great way to frame it because I know there's so many like, I've done this myself when I was like still to this day, I'm like, "Don't sell deliverables, like, sell the outcome, sell the
exactly
results." So that's a really cool way to package it, the value stack and knowing your value in front and behind the camera. I think being able to help somebody express themselves in front of the camera is a skill, and it's like, so much of photography, videography, and content creation in my, like, understanding is it's like you think it's the technical skills, and then you realize it's the people skills to be able to make sure that all that stuff happens.
Yeah. That's how you set yourself up from your competition too, like as a marketer, as a social media manager, as a content creator. Like you just have to communicate your identity, and your identity is not why I take photos and videos. Like that's not your identity because that's going to put you in just an overwhelming, just the competition there is just like everyone takes photos and videos. So it's like, okay, well, no, 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 I don't take photos and videos. I actually help you get more leads. And photos and videos are the vehicle, the output by which I do that. And just that little flip of the scripts, like automatically just sets you apart from everyone else a prospect could be like even considering.
That's very powerful. If you have any examples of, like, some client stories of, like, showing up in front of the camera, like, how you navigated those situations of, like, helping somebody show up in front of the camera a little bit better?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think my clients kind of fall into three different school of thought when they think about this, like getting in front of the camera and kind of communicating. Some of them need a script, like they need to say something word for word. That's just how they are. That's just how their brain develops. Like I'm not gonna. Yeah, there you go. And so it's either a transcript or it's either a paper and they're looking down then back up at it. And so we can do that where it's like a line by line. Like memorize this line, okay, say this line. Memorize this line, okay, say this. So that's where some of my clients are. Some of my clients are in this place where they need bullet points. They need something that kind of guides like what they're talking about, but isn't necessarily like word for word by any means. That's number two. And then number three is just like they need a conversation. So I set up a camera and then I literally like kind of take one step behind it and then we just talk
Real life.
and there's no scripts, there's no like bullets. Obviously, this was planned, like we know what we're going to talk about, but it's not like it's just us talking, and then I can edit and make it work so that it is just them saying, this blurb to me essentially on the camera. And so each of my clients is like that. And so from working with clients, you kind of figure out which one of the three they are, and you can usually figure it out pretty quickly. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of kind of guesswork until you get it right. Um, that's what so you're working with their strengths, like what they're already comfortable doing. And then the goal is to make them just even more comfortable in front of the camera. So just make the camera disappear essentially, and however that, works out. And so another thing I say too is when you're talking to someone, like especially kind of vertical, like iPhone content, whatever, like not treat it like you need to make some sort of impression, more so just treat it like you're on FaceTime, like you're just talking, because that's a side of you that people want to see. Like it's not like this kind of puffed up kind of need to memorize everything version of you. It's just like the normal, like the casual. And that can come from a script too, because there's those people like that can be word for word as a script as well, but it's just like people just want to see like you for like who you are, not for like, oh, I need to get this across, I need to message this, I need to look a certain way. Like it's just like it's people just want to see you.
That's really cool. I was thinking about, like, how was thinking about even just the person, like, who it is, the type of person that would even need your type of work, and I was like, "What qualifications does somebody need to have to even be in consideration of hiring somebody like yourself to help do the things?" Because I know some people are like, "Oh, I should just hire a videographer," and it's like they have no business, no background, and they're just like, "I need content," and I'm like, "Content is the vehicle to be able to do something with it." So how do you go about vetting, and
Yeah.
helping people figure out that part of the process? And is there something that you do to help them even get to that point if they're not there yet?
Yeah, I think it's really just niching. That's essentially what niching is. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people think niching is per industry. Like I'm only going to work with realtors, or I'm going to only work with people with personal brands that just need content. And like I think that I mean I'm not going to go as far as saying that's just overtly wrong. I just would like to challenge that sort of thinking because within that, there's just all kinds of people with all kinds of problems. Where I think the better way to niche is to think about the types of problems that people have,
Mm,
because that can transfer across industry if done right. For instance, like someone that just needs content doesn't need anything else that's going to be a much smaller ticket package just because they aren't going to get ROI from that because they don't have a system in place. But that could be, I mean, that theoretically could be someone's, niche, someone's target. And so I think that's kind of what essentially that is saying is like, hey, well, what's your niche? Then how do you find it? And I don't know exactly, like just finding it for me has taken just so long. It's just taken years of just trying to figure it out and working with people and seeing kind of what works and what doesn't. But honestly, like just figure out what you're really good at and figure out how that can play in this overall kind of, that puzzle piece that can have in solving someone else's problem and then latch on to okay that person that made up person in your mind. Okay, now what kind of business do they have, what kind of problems do they have, and so that's essentially kind of what that looks like. And then my niche, simply put, and it's literally everywhere in my online presence, like it's literally on captions, it's on my bio, like it's everything, and it's essentially it's people that don't know what to post on social media. Like that's it. So
Perfect.
yeah, like people that stress out about the idea of posting on social media, like that is my niche. Like that is exactly, kind of to answer your question too. It's like that is what so everything that I do across no matter what industry, if that's not where their pain point is, then like I kind of back off and that's just not my client. We're not gonna like be able to work together. And so that essentially to answer your question, that's kind of what that looks like.
It's cool you went about it from the problem solution scenario, 'cause I went about it from, like, what conversations do I wanna have? Because 'Cause I'm like, I do
Sure,
not
okay.
have conversations, like, I've shot one wedding, and I don't wanna have wedding conversations because I don't wanna be responsible for, like, the most important
Sure.
thing. To me, I'm like, that is one of the most important pieces of content that people have, and I'm like, somebody else is probably better suited for this. I like business conversations, and I like
Sure.
branding, and so I was like, let me only have those kinda conversations with people because
Yeah.
that I over time found that that made me the most happy, and I was like and I could get excited about it instead of being, like, scared.
Yeah, exactly. And to kind of carry that just school of thought over to weddings, 'cause it also does apply, is, with my specific kind of, niche where I look for, my clients
Mhm.
in, which is people who don't know social media, that doesn't apply to couples at all. However, like other things do. For instance, like I think that couple that's about to get married, they do have a problem. They have a problem of they want their special day to be remembered in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And so that's a big, like, that's what their thing is, and so that's every kind of marriage couple, like, that's what their problem is. And maybe there's other fears to that too, like, maybe they are scared, maybe they have some kind of, in-law strife where they need to make sure that, and that can be packaged as a photographer, as a videographer in the wedding space, like, that can be, like, I can make that my kind of thing and then look for clients that way too. But it's always about problem solution, and just that's how creatives I think have to think about it when they approach clients in order to kind of get their maximum. Like I'm working with who I want to work with.
It's so powerful. It's like the slight change of an angle on the positioning of, like, how you go about talking to your perfect client is genius.
Yeah, I mean, I think creatives like they're really talented and they just deserve to know, like they deserve to work with who they want to, and they deserve to not. This idea of a starving artist is horrible, but it's almost like a normal thing in culture, and it's like it just doesn't, it shouldn't be that way.
What do you think was the defining moment going from, like, starving artist, like, feeling to, like, "I do this as a profession"? Was it, like was there one moment, or was it this gradual, like, over time, you were like, "No, I am a professional at this"?
I really don't know because I think that honestly, like that's just an ongoing process for me. Like I not that I consider myself a starving artist in like the sense that like culture views it, like pop culture views a starving artist as like it's almost like a cool thing, like you're whatever. Like, but like I think that's a journey that I'm like still on. Like I can't really pinpoint when it started. I think over time it just became like a I need to change my thinking because something isn't working.
Yeah.
And then it just, and I can't pinpoint that to an exact even like month or year necessarily, but it was just something that I think, and it kind of goes back to like you just have to speak and understand like their language. They being like just clients, like because everyone else, you have to understand that everyone else doesn't have a creative brain like creatives do, and so like that's just there's going to be discrepancy there unless like creatives understand the other parts and how to at least be able to somewhat translate kind of their package, their value into something that, can be picked up by someone else.
Makes sense. One of the things that I've found interesting is in the world of, like, being a creative and doing creative work is the analytical side of it, and I know we spoke a
Sure.
little bit about getting, like, obsessed with the minor details. What's something that, like, you've obsessed on and you're like, "I've figured this out," as far as, like, helping your clients?
It's a good one. I think positioning myself as a professional, I think, is something I still am learning, but I think I've come a really, really long way in that. And then leading with confidence in that aspect as well. And then also like just kind of being able to like diagnose problems, And so my like this is a little bit of a sidebar, but like my marketing, like my funnel to work with me is like includes a free audit because like I that's something I just love to do. Like it's something I want to do to people, but it's also something kind of to your point. It's like I feel like I've just been able to really nail like how someone is showing up online currently and like why it's not working for them,
Mm,
and I think like that, like for me, like once I really was able to like hone that skill and nail that down, then like it's like an unstoppable feeling because like I have the solution to someone else's problem. Like
right.
someone else, in my case, doesn't know what to post on social media. Like, but I can look at their social media feeds and be like, I like this is what's not working and this is what is. And it's so fulfilling knowing that like they don't have that perspective and I can come in with that perspective, and that has been like the why for me that drives me to like, in this profession is like I'm able to like tell someone what they like need to hear because of my expertise, and they just don't know. And so that's been super great.
It's really cool. I think from being in the creative space for so long as a creative working for creatives, it's like we think that this stuff's so simple, and then we realize that the people that we're working for or something, they're just like, they have no idea.
Sure.
Our expectation of them thinking that they should know this and it being something super simple to us, but also very valuable to them, I think is a reframe for most if anybody's watching, like, you knowing certain platforms better than other certain platforms for different creators for different things, like, that's a skill set to be like, take value of your skill set and be like, "No, this is what I can bring to the market,"
Yeah,
and
for
own
sure.
it.
Exactly. Yeah, and like we're the online generation too. Like that's another contextual thing that I think I forget all the time too. It's like a lot of my clients, like they did not grow up with social media, with the internet, and so that's something that like in this world, it's so difficult to kind of see outside and realize there are people that like just don't know.
They're like, they don't know the apps, they don't know the softwares, they wouldn't be able to make
Yeah,
any of this stuff
it's
happen.
they just don't know how to just market. Like they don't know how to make themselves more known and who to make themselves more known to. And it's literally just because of just that contextual kind of upbringing.
It's true. I've seen a lot of, like, traditional businesses, and they've still I saw a real estate agent's, like, sign the other day, and I looked her up, and I was just like, "She has no social media presence." I'm like, "How do people sell homes with no social media presence?" And I was like, "Okay, but that's a possible client for me," and I was like,
Yeah,
"I can help you
exactly.
solve that problem." Same with you, it's like, there's so many people that do more things that they do it all through word of mouth, and I'm like, if we scaled it through social media.
Yeah, that's also a school of thought too that I see a lot of. It's like someone's like, "Why should I do social media?" Because like it's my business is doing fine without it.
Mm,
Um, and that was a question that was hard for me to answer for a while, where it's like I don't know. It's, well, it's like, why should I spend money in this if like my business is
you're
working
like, "It's already
fine,
doing fine."
or social media has never worked for me. And I think both are asking a similar question. I think both are kind of the same vein, which is like, the way I answer that is, well, you just don't know the leads that are getting dropped in the process because of your poor social media. Like there's a number that it's imaginary to you right now that is the number of people that like could book you and know about you that just either don't know who you are at all or they just get lost because they look at social and then they just get lost and that's it. And they go to someone else with better social media presence. And so it's a harder thing to kind of communicate, but I think there's power in that where it's like, like you just have to like pose and kind of press on the pressure point a little bit of this kind of idea that like you are losing leads that you don't know about. So anyways, I guess everything creative just goes back to marketing. So I guess that's a way to say that.
It's like marketing's this big umbrella, and then it's like all these different things in it. Um, Even getting a degree in marketing, I didn't really learn any of it until I started practicing it, and it's like it's such a practice.
Yeah, exactly.
We I think one more question would be, I'm trying to formulate it so it's a good question, but the standard of excellence that you have, has there ever been a project where you just were like, "Dang, this didn't hit," and, like, what did you have to do to, like, overcome either, like, not wanting to deliver, like, a bad project or, like, redoing something, or has there ever been some scenario where the deliverables was just like, "This is trash, and I don't feel good giving this to them?" Like, what did you do in that scenario?
Yes, there's only one example, well, I guess maybe two that I can think of. So it doesn't happen very often. And I think that's in large part due to just like if you just do pre-production really, really well, then you have less work to do. And I'll kind of go into both real quick. I mean, I have a few horror stories for sure. One of them that comes to mind is when I was in the sports world, I was working with this team and I had this video project kind of lined up for months and months and months. At the time I was with Liberty in Virginia, and they're the Liberty Flames. So they're like fires, like their big thing. And I had this idea, I scripted it, I had a whole like and it was a postseason related idea. So with this team, it was like the postseason had ended like the season before when I got this idea. So it was like, what is this, 10 months in advance? I'm like, okay, this is really cool. And it essentially was this like it was a shoot. It had to do with like a lot of fire and some like just cool like newspaper clippings that I was like saving for like months and months and months, and
Yeah.
created this cool set with those newspaper clippings that like one of their captain of their team like lit on fire, which was like super. It was super sick. So we did this shoot. Good. It was a wrap. And then like it was like the next morning, really early, was like the flight out to like the postseason or whatever, and I did not dump the footage to my laptop. I think you know where this is going. And so it's still in my card. And then I go to shoot the next thing and I format my card. And I lost everything. And I didn't realize until like a day or two later. And I'm literally like gonna like finally start this project. It's gonna be huge, like it's gonna be really cool. And then I'm like, can't find the footage anywhere. And I'm like, I think I formatted that like 2 days ago. So like
No.
so I literally was like also panicking too. We were at the University of Connecticut, which is like middle of nowhere in Connecticut, like in the woods. And the problem was we were at a hotel like in Hartford, which is like an hour and a half away. And it was like the next morning this was going to go out, and I was like, I've got nothing. I literally have nothing. And
You're like,
so
"I literally have."
I I literally had pivoted and went with the athletic trainer. I was at the hotel. I knocked on the athletic trainer's door, and I was like, "Hey, I know you have a rental car. Like, can we go to UConn and just figure something out? Here's the situation."
No.
So he's like, sure. And so he drives me. We literally drive, and it's literally like the sun is setting, and we're playing the next day. So I'm like, it's got to be at night, and I have no idea. And we decided to do this a really cool concept. We had a box of matches. We were like, all right, we're gonna light matches, and then we're gonna like remember where the framing and the composition, and the next morning during the game, we're gonna like mash it up with the same composition or whatever. And I literally did it, and I like shot it all. I edited like it was done. It went out, but it was like it looked like nothing had gone wrong, but inside it was like literally
Intro
the stress levels that I had in that little like 16-hour period, like everything was just there's just crazy. So I'll say that's from sports, and that's was kind of a save. So I don't know if I would count
It's
that,
like,
but
but the I like for every creative listening, it's like the ability to go, "Crap, let me fix it." Like, how ca it stretches your
yeah, it was wild.
creativity to literally, like, I can make anything happen. It's
Yeah,
like, I messed that up, and I've had my fair share of things that have, like, I've formatted an SD card or, like, my camera overheated, and I'm like,
yeah.
"Seriously? Like, what are we doing?"
yeah, it was one of those things where the door wasn't open, so I tried the window and the window was unlocked, so it worked out. But
There's
and
always a way.
then yeah, I would say I do have a direct example with actual client as well. This is kind of it's half legitimate, I think. So, but it was I did like a lot of the time I do like a free just a free one off like a free video like as a way to build trust. And so this was a client in the real estate space. It was a free video. It was like, oh, like we'll do a free video and then that'll be a trust builder. Then we can talk about something longer, whatever. And that was great. But the thing was, and I made this very clear too, like in my communications, it's not something I was being deceptive, not at all. But I was like, this is my first time. Like, this is my first video I've done in real estate. Like, this is my first. So it's like,
It's
it
like
might
be
not be
very clear.
great, but it's exactly. And it was great. And we were able to talk a lot, and it was very okay. But anyway, so I shoot everything, and it's like okay, and then I feel pretty good about it. And like my arms are hurting because it's a big gimbal rig I've got, and it's the whole thing. And I go to edit it and it's just not great. It's just one of those, and that's rare where I'm like, I'm usually confident like through the entire process.
Mhm.
And this is one of those things where it's like, I go to my computer and looking at it, and I'm just like, how am I going to fix this? Like, it was my first time using a gimbal, really. And it was my first time using real estate. So it was just
This is
new.
like first, and too many firsts all at once.
Yeah, and I believe the camera was broken from something else that had happened to it, so it wasn't shooting at the right frame rate, so it looked a little wonky too. I wasn't able to color correct it because the switch was literally broken to go into that, so it was like it was literally bright and overexposed, and I was like, oh come on. And so I'm like literally looking at this like, how am I gonna fix this? And then I mean, the good news is I learned a lot about real estate and gimbals in that short
Yeah,
time, but
like really
learned it the
quick.
very hard way. And I made something that I thought would work. I was not proud of it whatsoever, to your point. Like I was just, but I was like, I gave it to the client because I'm like,
This is the best
this
that I
is,
can do with this stuff.
I literally just gave it, and I was like, I can make any change, like just let me know, whatever. But she liked it, so
That's crazy.
she was like, oh yeah, let's meet like again. And I'm thinking like this was just something that I was never like happy with or satisfied with whatsoever. And so it just becomes like a thing of like, okay, well then like what is it? Like is it actually not that bad or is it maybe like them and they just think they have different standards or they have a different idea or what is it? And so um but yeah, that is an example for sure of something that happened. That was this summer, that was somewhat recently too, where it's just like I did it, and I don't like it's a learning. It's definitely a teachable. It's a learning moment for sure. Because I'm like, I will never like this. I know this will. You can only learn something like that once. So
It's like you learn really quick what to do and what not to do when things like that happen. I think this industry for sure has taught me like the speed of execution and speed of learning. It's like if you mess it up once, don't mess it up again.
yeah,
Um,
you'll
make
know
sure you
for
learn your
sure.
lesson.
Some things you can only there's an old saying. It's like I forgot what it is exactly, but it's like a man can learn like nothing. Like a man can learn by dragging a cat by its tail something that he can learn no other way, or something like that. Where it's like it's true. It's like there's something that's like some things you'll learn real quick.
Let me pause real quick and grab my cord. I'll cut this out of the thing
Okay, no worries, no worries. You're good.
to charge it up.
No, you're fine. No worries.
Who knows if I'm actually here? Can you see me?
No,
That's so weird. It's just got a blank screen on me.
it might be maybe it's frozen on the frame.
Oh, there we go. It's just slow as crap. There we go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's still slow on my end, but I'm sure I trust.
It should be. Riverside's having trouble. Too many programs running on my computer right now.
I get that. I've got an old Mac, and it's a struggle for sure.
Let's see. Well, I just keep getting a notice you can't access your video, but it is still
Did
recording.
it die or did it just become close to dying?
It just became close to dying. I let it
Yeah.
get too close. I was like watching it. I was like, oh,
You're good.
um, but sweet. I think
Yeah,
it's
you're coming
back.
back now for me. Yeah,
Okay, there we
it
go.
is. It is.
Technical error. It's all good.
It's all
Um,
good. Yeah.
Sweet. I think the horror stories are always some of my favorite because those are the things where you learn the most. Not my favorite, but every creative has their
Oh
laundry
yeah.
list has their list of stories where they can just be like, "Yep, don't do that again." And you only learn that by experience in the field, and so as a practitioner of it, it's like, man, you can learn so much from other people's mistakes too. And so hearing them from other people, I'm like, "Oh, don't do that."
It builds client relationships, that's for sure, pretty fast because like you could laugh and bond over it.
Man, that's fun. Well, thank you so much for your time, Will, and I know it's been, a great episode of the podcast. I think my last question for you for this podcast would be the name of the podcast is Defy Your Limits, and so over the concept of define your limits, what do you think was one of the biggest limiting beliefs that you had before stepping into freelance, and what made you finally do it?
Sure, that's a really good question. I think the one of the biggest kind of just moments I had to get over just in my head was just that I couldn't like that the world was going to end if something were to happen. Like going in freelance and not knowing into the unknown, it was like going to be the end of the world, and it's not. There's a huge, I mean, just something that I've lived my entire life with is like I get so uncomfortable so quickly, like in a bad way, where it's like when I'm somewhere in an environment where I know like I'm not gonna grow, then I move on from that. And that's been true my entire life. And so like it needs to kind of just, be for something that's like I'm actually going to be interested in. And so freelance is the most like worth it, fulfilling, like amazing kind of just season of life I've been in my entire life. But it's like, you know, and to the tune of like kind of just defying your limits, it's just like know that like there's 24 hours in a day every day, the sun's gonna rise and set, like, and also to that vein too, it's like just life is way too short to not be like just doing what you want to do.
That's good.
It's just not worth it to just have time go by where you're in a situation that's not going to produce growth. It's not going to be worth it because you're just going to live a life of regret if you do that. That's regret is like I guarantee you like the regret is a sharper sting than it's failure. Because failure, like at least you learn something, can move on, and even if it is a loss of whatever energy, time, or money, you're still moving on. You're still, it's almost to be expected if you're doing something that you actually want to do because it's hard. Because, like, there's no shortcut in that for life. Like, it's just difficult. But it's still, at the end of the day, way, way, way better than just regret of wondering what could have been if you would have done things differently.
That's very powerful, I think. The all of the prep work that you've done for your whole career led up to your experience being able to do that. It and taking the leap into freelance and to really just honing your skill set for that whole amount of time to be able to, like, even find the thing that you like to do the most and the way that you show up for people the most is, I think, simultaneously, like, for me, it's that's the one of the most worthwhile things that I hope people, like, find their thing and then just, like, obsess over your thing to where you're like, I don't wanna do anything else." It's like, I would rather do this and make this much money than do something that I hate and make 10 times more, or vice versa, like, it's not always about the money. I think even just waking up knowing that you get to be excited doing the thing that you love the most is an experience that I hope a lot of people get to have.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too is like I think the fear of not being able to see the horizon prevents a lot of people from taking the next step. When sometimes it's just like the next step is clear, so we're going to take the next step.
Yeah.
And a lot of people won't take the next step because they can't see 10 steps ahead or they can't see the horizon. And it's like sometimes that's just all you need is just one more thing that brings you closer to your goals.
Powerful stuff. Well, thank you so much, Will, for your time.
Of
I
course.
appreciate our conversation and looking forward to seeing your work and watching you grow. And if there's ever anything that I can do, feel free to always send me a message on whatever.
For
Shoot
sure.
me a message anytime.
Yeah,
This was a great
absolutely.
conversation, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Grace. Really appreciate having me on.
Bye, guys.